Okay, hi everyone. Let us start with a silent prayer. Amen. Okay, um, so um, today I thought that we would go through the subject of Islam, um, because I think, okay, first of all, it's a subject of Bible prophecy, and the other thing is that I saw that one of the presenters is basing their argument for Sunday law upon the subject of Islam. So I think it's important for us to just go back and remind ourselves before we go watch those studies. Um, so I will start with, we can start with a history. We can start with, uh, we can start with looking at the Bible, the history of Islam, and we can go to Genesis chapter 16. Someone to please help us read Genesis 16, verses 7 to 12. Thank you. The chapter 16, talks about so Sarai has been unable to bear a child, and he tells Abram to go to take a concubine, Hagar, and Hagar conceives Ishmael. And when she conceives, she starts becoming disrespectful to Sarai, and Sarai sends her away. So the verses we've read, an angel meets with Hagar in the desert. I want us to take note that in the verses we've read, Ishmael is promised to be multiplied exceedingly, which is one of the Abrahamic promises. And then um, it verse 12 talks of him being a wild man, and this is usually equated with the wild Arabian horse, the onega, and we can see how this is connected to Islam when we go to chapter 25, verses 5 and 6. Okay, so here we see that Ishmael, the son, a son of Hagar, is sent to the east, and from here we see the beginning of the tribes of the Arabian Peninsula. I want us to go into a bit of history to see how the religion of Islam was founded. Like we know how Christianity, we have Christ coming at 4 BC and beginning the Christianity. So I want us to look at Islam a little bit. So we've seen that Ishmael, he sent to the west, to the east, and begins the the tribes of the Arabian Peninsula. I want us to note that out of these tribes, this is where Muhammad, the founder of Islam, is born around 570 AD. And at this point, Islam is not a formal religion. They haven't established that they believe in Allah, the one true God. At this point, the tribes, the Arabian tribes, they have a shrine in Mecca where they have idols, and the idols they are influenced by neighboring religions like Christianity, Judaism, and such other indigenous Arabian religions. So Muhammad is born in 570, and then the other significant point I would want us to mark is around 610 when he receives his first, he goes pilgrimaging and he receives his first vision. And so when he gets the vision, he's told that Allah is the one true God. And so he comes back and he's struggling with the idea because the tribes where he lives at, the Arabian, the people believe that they worship gods. It's a polytheistic society. So he comes and starts preaching to them that Allah is the one true God, and they don't like the message that he's giving them. And so in the year 613, he begins getting persecuted because he's telling people there's one true God, and the people in that area, they're polytheistic. They believe in more than one God. And shortly after, around 614, he so in the tribe that he was in, he received protection from his uncle. And in 614, this uncle dies. Let me just mark it here. 614, the uncle dies, and he doesn't have help to deal with the persecution that he's receiving. And then in 622, he meets with pilgrims from the tribe called Yathrib, and they tell him that he should go back with them. And this is present day Medina. And when he goes there, he becomes both a religious leader and a civic leader. And then he gets a lot of following, and he marches to Mecca with around 10,000 converts to they get to Mecca, they remove the idols, they consecrate the Hajj, and that is where, and they make people in Mecca to convert from whatever they were believing in before to now what we currently understand as Islam. So that is a short preview of how Islam was formalized or became a formal religion. Um, so understanding that, I would want us to now go to the chapter in the Bible, Revelation chapter 9, and look at it and the review Revelation 9 and the wars. So I will open it and start reading. So Revelation 8 is the beginning of the trumpets, and Revelation 9 is a continuation. And this is where we see the wars. Revelation 9. So I'll start reading from verse 1. And the fifth angel sounded, and I saw a star fall from heaven and unto the earth, and to him was given the key of the bottomless pit. And he opened the bottomless pit, and there arose a smoke out of the pit, as the smoke of a great furnace, and the sun and the air were darkened by reason of the smoke of the pit. And there came out of the smoke locusts upon the earth, and unto them was given power, as the scorpions of the earth have power. So let's analyze those ones and remind ourselves what we already know. So the star that fell from heaven, it's Muhammad, and the key is the Battle of Nineveh. As um, a brief history on that. So according to Bible prophecy, we know that a star is what does a star symbolize? Yes. A star symbolizes an angel, and it doesn't exactly have to be a righteous angel, an angel or a messenger. Um, so a star fell from heaven, and to him was given the key of the bottomless pit. So this is where Mohammedanism or Islam starts to rise, and in 627, which we mark as the Battle of Nineveh, we see a key given to him. In this battle, Persians were fighting against Rome. and these both of the kingdoms, they weakened each other, and their influence. Okay, so both Persians versus Rome, both their powers are weakened, and this gives it gives an opportunity for Mohammedanism to rise. Uh, I want us to note that at this point in history, um, so we know from Daniel 7 that the kingdoms of Bible prophecy are Babylon, Medo-Persia, Greece, Rome. So at this point, it's Rome that is the dominating power, and when they fight and Rome's influence reduces, there's an opportunity for Mohammedanism like to rise. So in 632, so here after they marched to Mecca and they conquered it and consecrated the Hajj, 2 years later Muhammad died. And when he died, he was succeeded by Abu Bakr. So I want us to mark here 632. And I want us to read this quote from so as the two powers were destroying each other, Persia and Rome, Muhammad observed with secret joy the progress of mutual destruction. And then when Abu Bakr succeeded Muhammad, he had this vision of establishing an Islamic state, a state where Islam is uh, reigning uh, in the civil sense and in the religious sense. So he writes to the Arabian tribes. This is Abu Bakr. So let's read verse 4. And it was commanded them that they should not hurt the grass of the earth, neither any green thing, neither any tree, but only those men which have not the seal of God in their foreheads. So at this point, Abu Bakr has succeeded Muhammad, and he writes to the Arabian tribes that are fighting for him. He says to them, when you fight the battles of the Lord, acquit yourself like men, without turning your backs, but let not your victory be stained with the blood of women and children. Destroy no palm trees, nor burn any fields of corn, cut down no fruit trees, nor do any mischief to cattle, only such as you kill to eat. It goes on and says, you will find another sort of people that belong to the synagogue of Satan, who have shaven crowns. Be sure you cleave their skulls and give them no quarter till they turn. They either turn Mohammedans or pay tribute. So in this verse, we see that Abu Bakr is writing a letter and is telling them that they're fighting the battle of the Lord and they should not harm children or women. But when they come across people with shaven crowns, they can hurt them. According to history, I don't know if you guys have seen it anywhere. Anciently, the priests of the Catholic Church used to shave the crown of their heads and just leave hair around their heads. So these are the people being referred to. Um, the verse says, which have not the seal of God in their foreheads. So the next point I would want us to mark is, so Abu Bakr had a vision to establish an empire, and he soon was succeeded by Othman. So the next point I would want us to mark. So soon Abu Bakr is succeeded by Uthman, and this is the guy who established the Ottoman Empire. Uh, in the year 1299, there's the death of uh, in the 12th of July 1299, Othman invaded Nicomedia. Nicomedia was a city next to Constantinople. So up to this point, the Arabian tribes under Muhammad, under Abu Bakr, they haven't been able to invade Rome. They've just been warring. At this point, Othman invades Nicomedia. And I would want us to read verses 5. And to them it was given that they should not kill them, but that they should be tormented 5 months. And their torment was as the torment of a scorpion when he striketh a man. So at this point, they've been assaulting Constantinople, but they've never been able to actually subdue it. And the verse says that they should be tormented 5 months. According to Bible prophecy, 5 months. So we know that we know the 1 year, a day for a year principle. It's established from Ezekiel chapter. Is it 34? I'm not sure. So we know that 1 day is equal to, so this would be 360 days, and they've been instructed to hurt them for 5 months, which is an equivalent of 150 years. So at this point, they're just hurting them. They're just tormenting them. When we proceed, we'll see that there's another verse that talks about a point where there's an instruction for killing. So on the date that we've written, the Arabians, they've invaded Nicomedia, and we see the rise of the Ottoman Empire. I'll proceed reading. And to them it was given that they should not kill them, but that they should be tormented 5 months, and their torment was as the torment of a scorpion when he striketh a man. And in those days men shall seek death, and shall not find it, and shall desire to die, and death shall flee from them. And then verses 7 and 8, they describe to us how the Arabian tribes looked like. They say, and the shapes of the locusts are also a symbol of Islam. So What symbols do you have in the Bible for Islam? Palm, one symbol for Islam in the Bible. Another one, Linda. Another one. Perhaps I should have read this verse. Let us establish this. So I want us to open. So in Genesis 25, we saw that uh, all the sons that Abraham got by his concubines, they were sent to the east. So I want us to read Judges 7:12. I can just go ahead and read it. It says, "And the Midianites and the Amalekites and all the children of the east lay along in the valley like grasshoppers for multitude, and their camels were without number as the sand by the seaside for the multitude." So I would argue that we would also use the instances in the Bible. What does that role say? Sometimes symbols represent more than one thing. So in particular instances, we can say that Midianites would represent Islam in the Bible. And then we've given locusts, but another translation, I don't know if it's the Greek or the Roman or the Hebrew, it translates these as grasshoppers. And their camels are without number. Yeah. So back to the verse that I was reading before, and the shapes of the locusts were like unto horses prepared unto battle. So here we know that it's a symbol of Islam. Verses 8. And they had hair as the hair of women, and their teeth were as the teeth of lions. And they had breastplates, as it were breastplates of iron. And the sound of their wings was the sound of chariots, of many horses running to battle. And they had tails like unto scorpions, which you've seen is another symbol of Islam. And there were stings in their tails, and their power was to hurt men 5 months. And they had, okay, so here we've seen that the power is to hurt men 5 months. During this period, from July 27th, 1299, up to, so the close, if we were to go forward 150 years, this would take us to 27th, 14, 1449. I want us to note that in these years, they fall in the period of the 1260, the 1260 years. Uh, when does the 1260 begin and when does it end? Uh, so this period falls between 538 to 1798. And the 1260 was a period when papal supremacy reigned. And we've seen that from the verses, Islam is given power to hurt them. So it's a restraining, it, it, it's a restraining force on papalism. It just doesn't end here. It's just a point. It doesn't end at this point. I just wanted to take note of this. Okay, I'll continue reading. Verses 11. So verses 5 and verse 10, they speak of 150 years. They speak of hurting men for 5 months. Those are not separate 150 years. It's the same 150 years. It's just that verse 5 speaks of the experience of the afflicted, and verse 10 speaks of the experience of those who inflict the torment. So verses 11, we'll continue to verse 11. It says, and they had a king over them, which is the angel of the bottomless pit, whose name in the Hebrew tongue is Abaddon, but in the Greek tongue, his name is Apollyon. Um, so um, we saw the establishment. So we talked about Ottoman invading Nicomedia and reigning here. We saw that here we see the establishment of the Ottoman Empire. This would be the first time in history when Islam's had an empire like that was united to reign in military conquest, in religious okay, not in religious conquest, but they had an organized military and they had a vision to take over, to invade and expand their territory. So the person being spoken of in verse 11, when it says that they had a king over them, and is the angel of the bottomless pit. The Hebrew tongue refers to him as Abaddon, and Greek refers to him as Apollyon. These names, they both mean destroyer. And I'll just read a bit of a quote here. It says, from the death of Muhammad until near the close of the 13th century, the Mohammedans were divided into various factions under several leaders with no general civil government extending over them. Near the close of the 13th century, Othman founded a government which has since been known as the Ottoman government or empire, extending over all the principal of Mohammedan tribes, consolidating them into one grand monarchy. And this angel of the bottomless pit, it signifies, so we saw that angel signifies a messenger or, okay, so when we spoke about star here, we said it could signify an angel or a messenger. So we know that this angel, when it's being spoken of, we can also read it as the messenger of the bottomless pit. So it's to continue reading the quote, it says that religion, Mohammedanism, had in its chief a minister, the Sultan, or as he's referred to, the Supreme Caliph or High Priest. And it continues to say that such was Othman and the Ottoman Empire. So the angel that in verse 11 is being spoken of could be Ottoman, or whoever would be ruling over the Ottoman Empire in the future. So we'll continue reading verses 12. One war is past, and behold, there come two wars hereafter. So up to this point, we see the end of the first war, and the same point marks the beginning of the second. I'll continue reading. And the sixth angel sounded, and I heard a voice from the four horns of the golden altar, which is before God, saying to the sixth angel, which had the trumpet, loose the four angels which are bound in the great river Euphrates. And the four angels were loosed, which were prepared for an hour. They were prepared for an hour, a day, a month, prepared for an hour, a day, a month, and a year, for to slay the third part of men. So I want us to use the whatever we established here, that one day is equals to 1 year, and according to the Jewish calendar, this is equal to 360 days. 1 month is equal to 30 days. So whatever we've been given here, this will be 30 days. This will be 360 days. This will be 1 day. And so we know that 1 day consists of 24 hours, which is equal to 1 year. A day is equal to a year. So if we were to calculate 1 hour, we would get that this equates to 15 days. So this would be 391 days, and if the days are converted to years, they would be 391 years. So from this point going forward, we would mark 391 years and 15 days. And an addition of that would take us to August 11, 1840. But before we go to this period, I want us to establish what marks the beginning of the Second War. And I would read a quote. The four angels which are spoken of in verses 14, they were the four principal sultans of the Ottoman Empire, which the Ottoman Empire was composed of. So the Ottoman Empire has four sultans, and those are the ones being referred to in the 14th verse as the four angels. These were, I don't know if I should mention them. We have Aleppo, Iconium, these are the four angels being spoken of in verses 14. Um, so it says that they were loosed and prepared for an hour, a day, and a month. The historical event that marked this was that in that year, 1449, uh, in in Rome, the king that was reigning in Rome, his name was Pelagius, and he dies. When the king dies, he says, when the king dies, he doesn't leave any immediate successor. So we have someone who wants to inherit the throne. The name is Constantine. But before he goes ahead to inherit, he writes a letter to Othman. No, actually, so at this point, Othman has died, and whoever is reigning, the Ottoman Empire, his name is Amurath. So Constantine writes a letter to Amurath, telling him, seeking his permission to reign. Like he practically notes that he can't assume office and take authority without the permission of Amurath. And that is what we mark as the beginning of the Second War. So in 1449, the the Romans, they actually, like, they say that they acknowledge the fact that he wrote the letter seeking Amurath's permission to assume office. It's like they're acknowledging this supremacy, the Turkish or the Ottoman supremacy. And that is where we mark, that is what we mark as acknowledgement. So if if this is the event that is marked to begin the Second War, we expect a similar event to mark its end. And shortly after Amurath gave the permission to Constantine to reign, he died. And when he died, he was succeeded by another leader, and this leader, he was succeeded by Mahomet II, and so in 1449, Amurath has given the permission to Constantine to reign, but in 1450, when he succeeded, whoever succeeds him, this Mahomet, he disregards whatever Amurath said, and he invades Constantinople at around 1453. And I want us to mark it because I want us to mark it and read a quote from EGW. besieged. I want us to read from Signs of the Times. August 1st, 1840. Someone to please read. Signs of the Times, August 1st, 1840. Signs of the Times, August 1st. Has anyone found the quote? Sorry? I repeat, you're not hearing me? Sorry? Oh, August 1st. August 1st, 1840. Haiko? Okay, I might have written down the wrong quotation, but what I'll just try to paraphrase what it said. So Constance, I think I wrote it down. Yeah, the wall in Constantinople fell when Mahomet II invaded it, when he disregarded whatever deal Constantine had made with Amurath. And here, the Roman religion was weakened, and it gave impetus for Reformation to move forward. So even at this point, we are also, at this period in history, we are also told that whatever Islam was doing, it was restraining papalism and causing Reformation to go forward. Oh, actually, it's, I'm sorry, it's story from the Seers of Patmos, Patmos 164.2. Let me open it and read. Or if someone can find it, story from the one 164.2. Can you read it? Okay, I must have written down the wrong quotation. Um, so we've read. Sorry, sikusikia ki. What does it say? It's okay. Let's just proceed. I'll try and find the right quotation later. But the point remains that whatever was happening at that point was restraining papalism, and during the during that dark period, and causing some light of the gospel to at least go forward. Um, the next verse, before we proceed to the next verse, I want us to see what the pioneers marked as marked as the event that they marked as the end of the Second War. So the date is August 11th, 1840, but what was the event? Let us, so I'll read a little bit. Um, the supremacy of the supremacy of the Mohammedans over the Greeks was to continue, as already noticed, 391 years and 15 days, commencing when 150 years ended, the July 27th of 1449. That is when the first war ended and the second began. To the period, and the period would end August 11, 1840, the end of the Second War. Judging from the manner of the commencement of the Ottoman supremacy, that it was by a voluntary acknowledgement on the part of the Greek Empire that he reigned only by permission of the Turkish Sultan. Hiyo yenye tumesema that Constantine would not ascend the throne until he was given permission by Amurath. In the same way, we would see that a similar event would mark the end of the Second War. The prophetic principle is marking the end from the beginning. I'll continue reading. Judging from the manner of the commencement of the Ottoman supremacy, that it was by voluntary acknowledgement that the Greek Empire reigned only by permission of the Turkish Sultan, we should naturally conclude that the fall or departure of the Ottoman independence would be brought about in the same way. At the end of the specified period, when 11th August 1840 reached, the Sultan would voluntarily surrender his independence into the hands of Christian powers, just as he had 391 years and 15 days before. So a brief history of whatever was happening here. So we have the Turkish Sultan reigning, and he has vassal states. One of those states was Egypt, and they would go to war together. So Egypt realized that it had a stronger military than the Turkish Sultan. So they began invading some of his other territories. And at this point in history, around 1838, they've invaded most of the Turkish Sultan states, and he's worried that they're going to conquer him. So he goes to 4 European nations, the Sultan. We have USSR, Uh, no, we have Russia. At this point, there is no USSR. We have Prussia. We have England and Austria. So the Sultan goes and he goes to the 4 European nations, and he's worried that Egyptian the Egyptian state is going to overtake all his territory. So these 4 nations are they're Christian. They are as opposed to this religion. These ones are Christian. And he says to them that he needs help with the Egyptian Pasha. So the 4 nations come together. They write a treaty. They write they draft a document that they send to the Egyptian Pasha, whoever was reigning in Egypt. And there's a whole process, but the point I want us to note is that at this point, basically what the Sultan is doing, he's acknowledging that these nations are far superior than he is, and that is why he's seeking their help. In the same way that at this point, Constantine was acknowledging that Amurath is supreme than he is, and he was seeking for his permission to rise to power. So we see this as this marks the end of the Second War. Um, so I'll read the other verses. We read verse. We read to verse. We had read to verse 15, right? Okay, I'll continue 16, 17. Someone to read 16 to the end of the chapter.
Low battery. Please charge.
Thank you. So up to that point, we've seen the first. Okay. What we've read to the end of the chapter 9,
Low
and
battery. Please
so far what we've
charge.
done is we've looked at the history of Islam and what Revelation 9 says about it, and we've seen that Revelation 9 talks about the first and the second war. Um, when we continue, when we When we continue reading the book of Revelation, the next part where the subject of wars is spoken of is chapter 11, verse 14. Thank you. Chapter 11, verse 14. Uh, the
Low
verse says,
battery.
the second war
Please
is past,
charge.
and behold, the third war cometh quickly. Um, so I don't have uh, an exposition on it on the third war. Chapter 11, verse 14. Uh, but I would I would want us to I would want us to take characteristics from the first and the second war to see what this plays out as the third war. Uh, so we have this principle that
Low battery.
the
Please
triple
charge.
application principle. What does it say, Sabina? What does triple application say? One plus two equals to three. So I would want us to look at the characteristics of the first war and the characteristics of the second to help us establish what this looks like. Um, so the first war, it spoke about attack on Rome and particularly on the people who didn't have the seal of God. Um, in the second war, it also speaks about punishment.
Low battery. Please charge.
The second, the second one, it also talks about punishment. And what would we expect the third one to be
Low
about as
battery.
well?
Please charge.
Yes. The uh, the verse says that behold, the third war cometh quickly. Um, we expect it to be also.
Low battery. Please charge.
Um, are there any comments about this from the class? Comments about the third war? Yes. Yeah. Yeah. You're asking me, or you're asking the class? Responses from the class? Yes, yes. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Low battery. Please charge.
Okay, I will just leave it at that. Thank you. Thank you for the comment. Responses? Yes, yes, Sabina.
Low battery. Please charge.
Uh-huh. Sorry? Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Uh, okay. So before okay, let me just write it here. Because we have to be consistent, right? Sabina is saying that another characteristic to add on whatever we've looked at to help us establish what our interpretation of the third law
Low
has to be,
battery.
will
Please
be
charge.
that it lazima ikwe in a deal with Islam. Because the first law was dealing with Islam, the second was dealing with Islam, we expect consistency also. Um, Comments or an answer to Carl's question? Yes.
Low battery. Please charge.
Without, without the seal of God. Okay. So uh, this is the first, this is the second. So the third also has to be of those without the seal of God.
Low battery. Please charge.
Any other comments? Yes.
whether that is the point from which we can expect them to attack, or whether they will punish already before the scene is complete for the whole world.
So, Carl's point is bringing. Carl
Low
is giving us
battery.
is
Please charge.
making us note that the seal of God, when the seal of God is being spoken of, it's in is it comparison? What against the mark of the beast, and then he's bringing in the timeline of when this is to happen. These events, he says, are to happen at the close of probation, and that is when we expect these to happen. You're saying or you're asking?
That's the conclusion I'm being led to. I'm
Okay.
asking if that is correct.
What do you think? What do we think? Yes.
Low battery. Please charge.
Do you want to help us with interpreting what those symbols are? Sabina is taking us back to Revelation 9, verse 4. Uh, the verse reads, "It was commanded them that they should not hurt
Low
the
battery.
grass."
Please charge.
We have these symbols, the grass, we have trees. It was commanded the grass of the earth, any green thing, um, neither any tree, but only. So these so the verse reads, "And it was commanded them that they should not hurt the grass of the earth, neither any green thing, neither any tree, but." So the is it a conjunction?
Low
It
battery.
it shows us,
Please charge.
but shows us that these people, this group of people, is different, are the opposite, I would say, of but only those men that have not the seal of God. Do you guys read it the same? Okay. So Sabina is saying that we should we should we should interpret what those symbols are. What would yes. Sorry, I missed your hand. Sorry. Oh right.
Low battery. Please charge.
Um, Abu Bakr. Mhm.
seems like we interpret this to be literal, like literal plants and maybe food that is growing. The only thing that is to be hurt is the people who do, the men that do not have the seal of God in their foreheads, on their foreheads.
Okay. Kila mtu amesikia? Maureen,
Low
did you hear what
battery.
Joy said?
Please charge.
Um, she has said that verse 4, we interpret this as, okay, the interpretation would take it to be the declaration that Abu Bakr gave to his soldiers that they should not hurt any grass, green thing or tree, and we would take that to be literal, to be in the literal sense, as opposed to be a symbol of something in the Bible. So I will just do a quick summary and then we'll pray. So today I wanted us to look at the subject of Islam, and we looked at the history of how the religion itself was established, from the birth of Muhammad to him conquering Mecca and consecrating the Hajj. The Hajj is
Low
where
battery.
is
Please
the
charge.
most sacred place. They believe that Abraham and Ishmael built that
Power off.
place. It's an owl.